what he said. People don't like me.
Yeah, too. I haven't.
Yeah, I said it out.
Cash should have it where you can open meetings.
Let the record show that Alderman Pena is absent, the rest of the aldermen are present. Is there a motion to accept the agenda?
So move.
Second.
Second by Mr. Wade, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. The object of the meeting will be any matters pertaining to, first item on the list is public hearing for FY 24 and 25 budget. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
So move.
Second.
By Mr. Blackman, second by Ms. Burgess, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Patty?
All right. Good evening, everyone. I want to thank everyone for coming out today and ask that you bear with me as I present the information regarding the upcoming budget and the tax millage. As the city clerk and CFO, I want to clarify the city's charter structure. Ocean Springs is a strong board, weak mayor, which means the board is the legislative branch. The mayor is the head of day-to-day operations, and I oversee the financial administrative procedures, along with ensuring that we are following all the state statutes. The mayor and the board are all elected positions. All department heads are appointed or replaced, as all employees actually, by the Board of Aldermen. I'm also hired and replaced by the board, but as the city clerk, along with my two deputies, we are also sworn officers of the state. I tell you this so everyone understands that the board and the mayor does not try to control how I do the financials or how I do my job. I am held accountable to the state, so there is a separation of powers in place. The board still holds the power regarding the city's finances, as they are the voting body. So all I do is recommend. The mayor recommends, I recommend, department heads, and the board is the legislative body. Okay? I think that's interesting, so I thought I would go over that tonight. As far as my credentials, I've been a public servant for 38 years, with 22 of them serving Ocean Springs. So, okay, the budget format that we're going to go over tonight is more informative than is required by the state, and it emulates our monthly budget. So anybody that looks at our monthly budget is designed to follow it. The budget that will be passed on September the 3rd and the ad that goes in the paper is more in the format that the state requires, which is category totals, which also saves money because it's not expensive to put in paper. So, I am proud of where we are today financially, and I hope that you will be too. There is no millage tax increase plan, and as sales tax continues to hold or grow, I don't anticipate one for a few years. The only reason that we would ever need one again in the next 3 or 4 or 5 years is the surrounding cities keep raising employee pay, which requires us to. Employees are 64% of the city's budget, but we cannot function without qualified employees. Okay, so first, we're going to go over the budget, and I'm not going to try to bore you to death. The way the budget is designed, you'll see the first column is the budget we have now. The second column is the year activity through the last docket of claims, and the third column is the 24-25 budget. Let me kind of glance. You all look as we're going, and if you have questions at the end, I'll try to answer them. Everything is really pretty easy to read. It's just like I said, it's like our normal budget. Last year's budget, we rolled over $1.4 million from ending cash. That means that when we place a budget out there, we don't spend every dime in the budget, and we use those funds to help fund the next year. cash ending, but it rolls into, because we don't actually collect as much in income as what we expend. So it's important that we do some carryover, and cities always function that way. That doesn't mean there's not other money. The city has a reserve fund of almost 2.6 million. But this is, the way the city runs, all the monies are kind of kept separated, but there is other funds. So this year, if you take the activity and you were to go to the end of general fund, and all that's in there is activity of what's coming in and out. Right now, today, the city is 136,000 to the good, which I think is kind of interesting. That's not having anything to do with cash ending being in it. That's just income in, income out. Right now, we would be ahead 136,000. I'm trying to look and see if there's anything that's very different. As you know, the city's biggest income is our sales tax. Our sales tax only grew from 2012 till 2017 by 14.35%. But from 2017 till now, it's grown 43%. So I think that's, I don't really know what happened in 17, if most of the stores downtown, I'm not really, I can't tie exactly what's made that difference. Maybe someone else can. I just think it's an interesting fact. So let me see if there's anything. There's one great thing that happened this year. We, if you notice, one of our towers from Cellular South increased from 21.6 to 48,600. That's because we negotiated that. That tower feeds a lot of the cell phones. That's some of the things that we do. There's a lot of things that the city does to run the city efficiently. That's just one of the latest from this year. So in income this year, with the rollover, this upcoming budget will be $18,448,000. The Board of Aldermen's budget, if you noticed, there's nothing really exciting in it. It's just kind of their capital. They get $6,000 each for capital improvements. Those are normally things that happen in their wards. The court budget did not really change a whole lot. It probably only changed about the 3% on the pay scale. The city does have in place a 3% pay scale per year right now. The mayor's budget, let me see if there's anything too much in it. Pretty much all of these are daily activity. We're still working on the comp plan, that's in here. Some engineering's in here, but this is stuff that's been in these budgets. I've been here 22 years, and these budgets have been designed this way. We've done a few changes. They might have been placed somewhere else, but if they were general operating, we've merged them so they're easier for us to see what we're spending. The finance budget is what's deemed under my budget. And you'll notice the computer software and support is like $154,000. That's a pretty large number, but that's the city's accounting package. That's the AGJ, that is our IT people. This year, you'll see there's $35,000 in there for election cost. The last election we had, we spent about $28,000. And I think now, during the election, we pay all of the poll workers, and then we pay the election commissioners from the county to help post. But I'm still responsible for the election, so that's in here according to how many elections we have. HR risk, the bulk of her budget is really in insurances and stuff, and we're just like everyone else. We continue to try to find ways to insure the city and try to keep our costs down, and that's a challenge just like everyone else. So then we get over to the planning department. I don't see, a lot of these things are just day-to-day, trying to pick out if there's anything exciting. None of these have any capital. I will point out capital to you guys. The building department they are gonna get one more vehicle, because with the annexation, we do have one more building official. We do have the $20,000 in here. The city has been setting aside $20,000 a year in the Ethel Connor Fund for tree canopy care. And the mayor and I are working with, I don't know, is there a name of the group? No, okay. We're working with some people about the 200 trees that Hank has promised where they're gonna go. That money has been put in there for the last 3 years to show the public that we do respect our trees, we don't want to cut our trees, and we do want to take care of the trees. Then you go to the senior center. This year they had a pretty big expense in moving the air conditioner down. That process is going on this week. Community center, they're going to need a commercial refrigerator this year, and I think a new air conditioner, so you see $16,000 in there for that. The Civic Center, there's nothing really in there extra this year. We do need a generator there, but we're gonna hope that we can get that grant funded because it would take a massive generator to run that building. Am I going too fast? Everybody's
Perfect.
good? So the Mary CLP, the revenue is in here. That building's popping left and right. It's bringing in some funds. The cities we don't make funds. We don't make money on anything we do. We offer services. We just try to recoup some of the costs that it takes to run the buildings, have the employees clean and electrical and whichever. Don't see anything in there. She's got $15,000 in there for machinery and equipment, and that'll be because at least one air conditioner will go out. There's 15 over there, yeah. And so, and I think we might need a humidifier. So those are some of the things that you see me do during budget amendments, things that come up. We don't overload the budgets. We just deal with it as it happens. About every 3 months, you'll see a budget amendment. The police department, let's see, they still have been putting a new computer software on, so there's a lot of money in here. That's been a 2-year process. That money actually came from a loan that you'll hear me talk about. When we borrow money, we keep up with exactly what we're going to spend it for, even though it is spent out of our general fund and it's transferred in there from the loan as it is spent. They need a new golf cart for downtown. That's about the only machinery in there. I do remember one thing new with the court this year. The prosecutor's office had been doing some work pretty well for free, and they come to court every Wednesday night to represent people, so we're going to be paying for that some this year, so I put $25,000 in there for that till we can see what that's going to run. The police department, the county has the jail, and we had only been paying $35 a night, and the county had been just consuming the cost of it somewhat, because it's about $90 a night, and that's with no medical, so they raised the price to $55 a night, so that number went up. I feel like that's fair. I don't think that was, we don't have an issue with that. The city's happy to pay its part. The fire department, he's going to renovate a couple of his stations with new cabinets. He's got to get one more small truck. He's getting some dive equipment to add, I think, either 2 more divers or some equipment for the divers. And the firemen are getting new beds this year, so everybody's excited about that. So that's $9,000 to just buy new beds for everybody. Public Works Administration, theirs is basically just normal day-to-day software, office supplies. Public Works Street, the city has added some there, so they finally now will have 16 employees. Some of this is because of the annexation area, and some of it, they just needed more help for mowing and stuff. So their budget increased quite a bit for their salaries, but that's because And I'll go over how many new employees have came on this year, or that the city will be hiring. They still need another, they've got one more truck in here. And then there's some money for sidewalks and asphalt. But I think the city, I'm not gonna talk about it tonight a lot, but the city has a plan to be spending some other money on sidewalks this year. So you will see some of that roll out. And I'm not talking about East Beach, I'm talking about sidewalks around town. Central shop, same thing, nothing exciting there. Maintenance, no equipment there at this point. Drainage, the city puts $300,000 in drainage out of our operating, which gets spent along with whatever Ms. Martin and them can get in grants to help handle drainage issues. They are getting some kind of rotary brush cutters for cutting ditches, and then there is a larger truck to carry a 2,500 to carry heavier equipment. The big trucks that carry the heavy equipment are like 2008. So you have seen a lot of new vehicles this last year. I am happy to say the city was able to start replacing vehicles with our cash and not a loan. And that's where we should be, and I'm going to talk about that. That's how it should be ran. So we're in good shape there now. Beautification. Well, we put some in for contractual because, as you know, we all love Ocean Springs to have lots of flowers and be beautiful. We have lots of areas that we work with. They now have 4 employees. They just used to have 2 and then 3, and now we've got them up to 4 to try to make sure that we're keeping everything as beautiful as we can. Parks and Rec, they're getting another person to mow, and they're getting another person in the maintenance crew. Parks and Rec has the maintenance crew, which helps take care of all the buildings, and then they also take care of, I think it's 26 parks, I could be wrong, I'm not really sure. Public Works has a maintenance crew also, but there's 2 in that crew, and they do small sidewalks and basically signs, they hang the flags, those kind of items. The other maintenance crew are more the building crew. In the Parks Department, we always put $14,000 for improvements other than buildings. Then we have $14,000 for improvements. These are normal costs that go in, construction costs, park improvements, and then they are going to get a lawnmower for the dog park and the civic center and all, and a trailer to haul mulch. You notice they had 4 vehicles bought last year, which was $160,000. That number went away, so their budget actually came down. That's where the summer program is run out of, and all of those parts. Does anybody have any questions regarding the general operating, which is where your millage it goes. Your millage goes in 3 places. It's for operating and general fund, and it's for debt, and then the library is 1.10 millage to help take care of the building and to help, I think we give $12,500 a month to Jackson County Library System, and we have the nicest library. And we have a great new director over there. So, let me look at the total page, and then we will move on. I'm lost, hang with me. So, with us carrying over the 2,130,000 from this year into next year, and everything that's budgeted, it would show $1,207. That does not mean it will get spent, because that's just not how it works. We budget, and we are very conservative. We do not just spend because it's in budgets. We run very, very tight. So that's all that's on about general fund. I'm going to go down through some of the smaller ones right quick. Tacony building, the city, the school gave the Tacony building back to the city. I'm a little fuzzy on who owned it to begin with. Bobby, you know, I'm kind of confused about Tacony.
The city owned the property,
Okay,
and then the school district, it built the school, and then it reverted back to the city
okay.
after they moved out and vacated.
And so that is where Head Start with the federal government is, and the YMCA is there, and the Lighthouse was there, but now they've got their own place. And now we're working with the YMCA about possibly them expanding into where the Lighthouse was. In general, that building, we were lucky that the state gave us some money to do the roof, and they're gonna do the windows this year. Is that right, Mayor?
That's right.
Yeah. And so that's a great space and helps take care of a lot of kids. Next, you'll see the Evergreen Valandi Cemetery. That's doing fine. We keep the cemetery funds separate. We keep all of these funds, they're all in one bank account, but the funds are separate. So we know exactly what we have to spend and where. That way, if we need to, right now, we go ahead and try to mow the cemeteries. But if we needed to hire that out, we could. One reason that we continue to do it is when it's real hot, it's a good place for the public works guy to put his guys when it's so hot out there, because it's treed and it's very nice out when it's windy. So, next we have the library. And we were very lucky that, Jackson County basically redid our library, and we're very grateful for that. Redid our building, the city does own the building, and then the library is ran, the people are paid and all from the Jackson,
George.
I'm sorry?
Jackson, George County.
Jackson George Library System, yeah. It's a great library. I think it's probably one of the most used libraries. He's gonna give a report to us probably 1st of October, middle of the month. The next one is general obligation. That's our debt. And you can see we actually list out what the debt is, so you do know what the debt is. The first is your millage coming in. The millage is 4.77, and in income this year, we anticipate that to bring in $1,038,000. We will be paying off a loan with Red River. We bought 2 fire trucks this year. The fire rebate's going to try to carry that loan. They're not going to be able to manage the whole part of the loan, so I'm going to go ahead and pay a little bit more money to get that set up so the rebate money can pay it. We paid off some turn-off gear. We have a bond that gets paid out of it. It is the bond that was $4.6 million, and it was borrowed in 2010. And it's getting on down now to this year, I think it's 1.7. So the debt's looking better. I'm going to talk a little bit about debt when I talk about the mills. The enterprise fund is next, and that is the water sewer fund. And it has to self-fund itself. It's not paid with your millage and all, it's paid with everybody paying their water bill. You will notice in the income, garbage collection, sewer, water. It's kind of complicated. The money comes in. The city pays Waste Pro their portion, JCUA. So it's got a little bit of departments in it. There's administrative. Administrative means that the mayor, the board, myself, some of my staff, we are 33% paid out of the enterprise fund. And like Public Works has got Alan, the director, is 50%. So it's averaged out to what kind of work we do for that. My water department up here, I am in charge of the water department at City Hall. The 4 staff members here are all paid out of enterprise. There is no split on their part like it is mine and the accountants and stuff. Then there's garbage and trash removal. That's just really a pass-through, and that's where, as you notice, we have so many people these days and visitors. There's weekend pickup on trash, and then there's a lot of festivals, there's a lot of cleanup there, and that's where a lot of that is posted. The city had a full-time electrician year before last, and we elected to, now we use 3 different companies. For one person, we were out about $80,000 a year plus a truck. Now we're down to about $52,000 a year, and we're getting a lot more coverage because we have 3 companies, so that's been very successful for the city. Because one person really couldn't do the job anyway. We still had to hire companies. Then there's City Hall utility billing, nothing exciting in there. They did get 2 trucks this year. You will see quite a bit of trucks around town. The city has been replacing vehicles. There is a list of what they had. Most of them were very old. This should get us in good place for another few years with all of them that we've been able to replace. So there will be there. Then there's water operations at Public Works, and that would be the crews that work under the Public Works Director. That's the guys. My guys are the guys that handle customers and your problems at your house. If you come, water operations digs the water lines and does the more commercial stuff, and those are under the direction of Public Works. We put $300,000 a year in there for hiring, because they can't dig everything, so there's a contractor that helps on theirs. Same thing with sewer. There's a $300,000 thing in sewer, so drainage gets $300,000 out of operating, and water and sewer gets $300,000 each out of enterprise. Both of these departments are gonna get a small truck, one to run the pump stations. They go to all, the city has 102 sewer stations, and they visit all 102 every week. So that'll be done by, in a smaller truck to save gas. And then there's the guy that gets all the water samples, and there's a lot to that. And so there's a small truck gonna be purchased for that. So the water, let me see if I can say how much is coming in income and how much is gonna go out. Let me find my front page. So the proposed income this year is $10,613,760. Once we pay out all the other agencies involved and our staff and do these $300,000 here and there, and they also have payments. On that next page, you will see their debt. Their debt is down to about $300-something thousand a year. We actually tell what that debt was. You can see it on the side. That's how informative these budgets are. You won't see that, but it makes my life easier for it to be that way also. So so right now, what I told you in general fund, same thing going on here in water. Right now, they would show a negative for what came in this year to what went out, but because there's a balance, there is no negative, but you see a negative if you look there. And that's just probably because like the water bills for August hasn't been billed yet. And when billing goes out, it posts as income. So this budget right now says the year would end with $13,000, but water has a balance. Water probably has $2 to $3 million, so it's in good shape, and you want it to be in good shape because it's a really important aspect of your city. Next, we have the hotel tax, and right now that's bringing in, this year so far it's brought in $95,000, and that's 10 months worth. That's what you're seeing that's helping to, it's for tourism. The chamber gets $30,000 of it. All these beautiful trees wrapped downtown that everybody enjoys at Christmas, that's coming in there. The downtown folks are helping with that. They donated $19,000 toward the tree decorating, and it was just beautiful. Everybody enjoys it. So it's a standalone. Then we go into 2%. 2% is the food tax. And the food tax has to be used for parks and recs, public safety, and a little bit of tourism. When these bonds and these things pass, or even loans, we have to tell exactly what we're going to do with it and what we're going to spend it on, and that's what we have to do. That's back to the, again, that, you know, there are rules to what we do, and we do follow them. So I'm gonna go down kind of a little bit and just talk a little bit about the food and beverage tax. It is continuing to climb. Also, I didn't write that down in here, and I don't have it in here, but it has really took off since 2017. It's like a light bulb came on or something, and everything took off starting from 2017 forward. It really grew a lot quicker. So this year, we bought some police cars. Last year, we had put back $300,000 a year toward the fire trucks. 2 fire trucks was $1.2 million. But we won't have a need to buy fire trucks now probably for 10 to 12 years. So we're gonna put us in a good place there. And we all love the Greyhound truck. A lot of fun to see it around town. Super cool. So then we have some light leases. This year, one of the things I put in here is the possibility of turning the tennis courts to LED. Because the older lights are having more trouble getting the bulbs and stuff, so that's in here. That will be $75,000 to turn all of the tennis courts to LED, to upgrade them. Highway 57, the sports complex. This is a discussion we just kind of started, so everybody might not know. I've put this in here for now. The city has been needing press boxes out at Highway 57 in order to pull tournaments. And I think there's not enough bathrooms back where they're playing. So for now, we haven't really made all those decisions, but I went ahead and put it in here until the finance committee and the board can talk more and we can see what that's gonna take. But I think that we will be working, this year you're gonna see us more in parks and less in public safety. Then we have a grant match in here for WAMI, and that has to do with whatever Julian and them got up, the entry signs that are gonna be done this week. The city had to have a 20% match, is that correct? Okay. So that's in here, and that's part of tourism, so that can be in here. Clay Boyd is gonna have to have something done to the splash house and all, and we're hoping to build a concrete seat for the kids to sit on, which will also help with the drainage, it'll keep the water in. Alice Street, the floor where the children have the children's program has to be changed. That's a very expensive thing, but that's like $80,000. Some money's in here on Marshall Park. I'm not sure exactly what all the plans are there. You see on miscellaneous park equipment, that's because things will happen that are not as huge, and I don't know they're gonna happen, so that's where they'll go to live unless they have a line item that has the name of a park. I do try to put things in their parks, that way I can look back over the years and see what went where. Then there's beach improvements, we always put some in there in case some of the equipment gets broke down, that's $10,000. There's $15,000 in the Mary C, and right now that's about the track lighting on the bottom floor and the Duckett Gallery, possibly. That may or may not happen. When I announce these things, it doesn't mean they're locked in. It just means at this point, that's what we think we're going to do this year. But things can always be changed. Then we get down in here and we need some more trash cans. We do have trash cans coming from for downtown. I think they're gonna deliver pretty soon.
Yeah, they should be here anytime.
Hopefully they'll be here before Peter Anderson. And now that it appears that parks need some new trash cans. So we will try when we do that to order anything like that because they're coming in here in a big truck, Spirit City, to get them delivered. We've got a little bit in here for downtown improvements. That might be Cash Alley. Raven's working on some projects over there to make that a little more colorful and all. Then you see the interest and the principal. That is the bond that was borrowed in 2009 that produced the 2% food and beverage. It was $10.9 million, and that's the payments and stuff, and that bond is going to go till 2034. But as long as the city has debt, then the 2% stays. So then you see a little bit of transfers, and that's for overtime for the festivals. this and that. Right now, I've got the income anticipated at 1.8 million. That's a little low because you see it's already come in at 2,091,000. I tend to budget conservative on coming in, and then I try to load up a little bit more on going out, and that seems to have worked well. It's helped us to build our money. So even with these projects, and even if we do put the 600,000 into Highway 57, we would still end the year with about 700,000 to roll into the next year, which is important because I have that big payment every year. And I have to always be able to make that until the money gets coming. The next budget is the festivals budget, and again, sometimes these things happen, sometimes they don't. We had bowling on the beach year before last. It basically paid for itself. It was a fun event by the mayors all over the coast, and we sold tickets, and it basically paid for itself. Then we have what the city will host is, we're going to have Cruise in the Coast, Halloween, Peter Anderson, Christmas at the Mary C. I've been putting $16.99 in here. Every year we think it might happen, so we keep putting it in here. The fireworks show, the cemetery tour, which I'm told is October the 17th. Is that right, y'all? At the Landy. If you want to be in it, she's got a curtain call or something this week for actors. The Halloween thing at the Mary C is October the 26th and the 27th. No, 25th and 26th. That'll be a fun time. Then we have Easter at Children's Park. Friday's at the Fort. If you haven't come, is this Friday the last one?
Next month.
Next month. So Friday night we have one. It's a lot of fun. A lot of people enjoy it. The kids enjoy it. Please join us. And then the New Year's Eve, the ball drop last year that our own Sarah Pugh designed. Super cool, great event. Just a time for us to get out and have fun together. So the festival stuff is coming to, well, there's also some times where people will give us money to help pay for bands and all. And so usually it's about $80,000 a year for all of the different festivals that the city provides. The next one is seizures and task force. That you budget it, but it really doesn't make sense because that's just whether or not we're a member of some task force, and if there's any drug money that comes, we get our portion. It comes when they get it to court. We really don't know whatever's going to come, but they require me to put it in here, and so I just kind of plug some numbers in. Then the fire rebate, that's what comes off of your insurance, and that's what's going to help pay for the other fire truck. And it looks like that's it on that part. Does anybody have any questions?
See down the hall.
And did I go too quick or not say, does anybody think of anything I left out?
Well, Patty, I think it should be noted that this budget doesn't contain any grants.
Correct.
The grants from the state or the federal level,
Right.
so.
Yeah, we don't put grant activity in here because they roll in other years. They're not one-year things normally. And so, Carolyn kind of keeps a sheet of that, but she's not in here tonight. But that is not in here. This is just operating for the city. So the other, Ray, you want to put the graph up there? So people have come in, and you can't see that I might give how many I've got. I might have enough. You want something? You got one, right? Did you do the lady in the back one? Yeah. So you see on this graph that Vicki designed, thank you, Vicki, how the city's money kind of is spent. You can look through here. Payroll is obviously, it's the 64%. Contractual, that's a lot of things from computer services, materials, all of it's kind of self-explanatory. I would have to kind of think about what other expenses are. Anything didn't fit any of those. Okay, thank you. She said a lot of capital outlay, which means in the budget, it's like the, you don't see any numbers, but it's the last series that goes there. And you heard what equipment right now that we're talking about buying. The next thing that I want to talk about, Raven, put up there what a house would be in the property tax. And I'm going to try to explain this, and we're going to hope that I manage. It's very confusing. This part's not confusing. What's confusing is the assessment on a home. So, that's the document here, everybody. Okay. So what this is to kind of show everybody a comparison on what a house would cost in these other cities. So we're gonna take I've done three of them, $100,000 home, $250,000 and $500,000. So in Ocean Springs, the meal for this year, now this isn't this year, this is last year, a meal was worth $217,655.23. A meal in Moss Point is worth $93,000, or was last year, $93,415.89. A meal in Pascagoula is worth $265,129.82, and the meal in Goshen is worth $136,439. The next underneath it is how many meals these cities collect. Those are city meals. That does not include their schools at all. Their schools are averaged out in these numbers. So Ocean Springs collects 28.92 meals. It is split between 2305 for operating, 4.77 for debt, and 1.10 for the library. The county from every city gets 50.36 meals. That doesn't matter which city you live in, that's why the numbers are all the same all the way across. And then our school district is this year 66.35. And so the $663.50 is what the school gets. Moss Point's school gets $587. Pascagoula and Goshen schools look like they're less, but I do want to point out that Chevron, they get Chevron money that no other school gets. And so our school doesn't get those funds, so that's one reason their millage is higher. I think they used to get it, and there was a lawsuit, and somehow it got decided that only Pascagoula would get those funds. As you see, Ocean Springs does not get a real big cut of the pie. They get $289.20 on a $100,000 home. Now, where it gets a little cloudy is the $100,000 home that's valued at in Ocean Springs might only be valued $85,000 in Goshen. And so they have more meals. So I just think it's interesting, and I think that I'm always having people say that they have higher property taxes here. And I always like to show people that's just really not true. And you know, we try very hard to keep them lower. Does anybody have any questions about this form? If you go to the bottom of it, the 23-24 breakdown, you'll see the total of what we're supposed to get in 23-24 on that $217,000 meal. Then next year, our meal went up to $221,809.02, and you'll see the breakdown. We're going to get an extra $120,000 off of that millage next year, and then the breakdown to the side, you'll see operating will get $95,000, debt will get $19,000, and the library will get another $4,500. So, does anybody have any questions? And you're talking the truth. Is everyone awake? Okay. No questions. Okay. All right. So this last page is something that, when I say that I don't always do exactly what the board wants, sometimes I go, you know, if I think you all need to hear something, then I introduce it. And I think you do need to hear this, because I hear people talk about that we've added meals and we've added meals, and so I want everybody to understand why 2 meals got added when the board came on in 17. So I'm going to go through this, and this is a complicated sheet, so everybody hang on, we'll see if we can pull through. So this millage report was built from 2007 to 2005. And so across it, you're going to see how much it accumulates from year to year. And And the next column is what 2 mills was when they got, when the board in 2009 lowered them. I can tell you, I think they lowered them because after Katrina, the money was more flush. The employees had gotten 6% raise, 6% and 7%. So I'm gonna say I assume the board was trying to give the public a break. The fallout from that, I don't know that everybody understood it. It's important that we always understand the accumulation, not just that 1 year. And that's what I'm gonna show you tonight. So the first thing I want to also point out is that a meal is $10 on the 100,000. And so when I say they gave back 2 meals, and I'm going to say in general, I'm more frank about it than most people. I don't know that they were told you're giving back $20 on a $100,000 house. I'm not sure it was said to them that way, so I can't say how they felt about it. I'm just telling you that is how it is. So I broke that down for you all, the value of the home and what 2 meals cost for a year. $20 on a $100,000 home, $40 on a $200,000 home, and down, okay? So in 9 and 10, in 2009, they rolled back 2 mills. So the millage dropped from 2105 to 1905. That year, $325,000 had to be removed from the budget because it actually happened at the budget hearing or the adoption. The next year was a reassessment year. They assess every 5 years, and so the county did the reassessment in 10, and the mill went up, our mill went up all the way to the side. I went ahead and put them in here for you, what a millage gains per mill per year. So the reassessment increased in Ocean Springs Mill by $3,338. But you'll see accumulated, they only accumulated $63,000 because that is the 3,000 times the 1905. By now, by the second year, they've got a loss of $656,000 from the rollback of the 2 mills. That year, they laid off 17 full-time employees. And so then the next year, it accumulates up to $990,000. And you'll see the second mills are behind the 1905. There was no raises for employees in 11. There was no raises, I gotta follow my fingers here, everybody. Oh, I'm sorry. There was no raises in 11, 12. In 12, 13, the board gave a $750 cost of living one-time check. They did not increase hourly rates, but the employees did get a $750 check. By now, if you'll look over, the city is down $1.3 million from those 2 mills. The next one, the next year, and they gave in 13, 14, they gave a $1,000 one. Again, they didn't increase hourly rates because when we increase hourly rates, we're incurring costs down the road. And we're also incurring overtime rates going up, okay? So by now, they're out $2 million. Because you can see the 2 mills, you'll see them underneath the big numbers that they were collecting, what those 2 mills' value was, okay? So then in 15, 16, there was another reassessment by the county, and the city gained another $4,300 per mill. So that helped. So that year they got $81,000 for the reassessment. But the 2 mill loss is now down to $2.3 million. In 16, 17, the mill got up to 180, and by now the loss is pretty hard. The city now is doing what we call a 1, 2, 3 raise. And what that meant was the lowest paid got 3%, the highest paid got 1%. But that year, there was some adjustments to fire and police, to public safety. And they got around 5 to 6%, just because we were lagging. So that $453,000 number that you see to the side, that's what accumulated from 0809 to 16-17. That's the only increase that they got, but they lost $2,742,000 by giving back those 2 mills. So, and like I said, I think that there was a lot of things that went into that. I think that, they felt like the employees had got, in their mind, they were trying to give back to the public. I don't know if anybody really understood what we were doing back. The money was pretty low, so by 2017, the city borrowed $300,000 to buy vehicles and equipment. Then in 2018, they borrowed $400,000 for the body cart, cameras, and the bodies. And then in 2018, they also borrowed $200,000 for the accounting package and the computers. Then in 2019, they borrowed $180,000 for the phone and the internet. These 5 loans is what created the board to add in a $1 million debt in 2019. Because some of these loans today, I would be able to say, no problem, I can just pay $200,000. We shouldn't really have had to have loans that small. And so, we're gonna go in now to the other side. We're gonna go into when the board came on in 17 and the 2 mills got added. So now, at that point, when that board came on, the general fund money was down to $272,000 and there was $900,000 in reserve. This board got set it in 17 and they had no choice. They just didn't have a choice. And so I do take it personally when the public says things they don't understand. So I decided to start telling people so they can understand. So the board added the mills there, and that increased their money that year by $406,000 because the mill was worth $182,000. Now that next column is the other 2 mills, and I'm going to show you that it took 8 years to regain that $2.7 million. You don't regain that kind of money overnight. So the city began to rebuild. In 17-18, again, they did the 1 to 3% raise. If you made much money, you got 1%. If you made low money, you got 3%. But they were trying to give the employees something. They were doing what they could do. In 18-19, that is what happened again. And so now, when they added those 2 mills back, they added $20 a year to the family of a $100,000 home. That's what it increased them. You'll see to the side how the millage doesn't move real quickly, and that's kind of surprising because Ocean Springs is now, homes are valued so much. But we'll follow the trail here for a little bit if you'll just bear with me. Then the board ordered a pay scale. They started asking in 18. We rolled it out in 1920. We started it with a 2% increase per year, trying to make sure what it would cost, how was this going to work, and that's how it got started. Then, if you look across, you'll see these numbers. One of them you're going to be more impressed with what we've accumulated, and the second one, when you get to the bottom, he's at 2.7, but it took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years to gain that money back. Then they added, so the reassessment was supposed to happen in 20, but because of COVID, the county didn't do the reassessment until 21-22. The reassessment did add $18,588 to our mill, which is pretty good. Now that's been the biggest bump we've had in a long time without adding mills. Then the next year, the board was able to increase the scale to 3% per year for the employees. And that's the year that we added the 2 mills. Now, when they added those 2 mills in 22-23, they were still negative from that 8-year roll-off. But these 2 mills here from 22-23 has made a difference for your city. Today, with the money that we have managing now, if the board needs to pay something that's $200,000, then we can pay that. We don't have to get a loan. We're buying, this year we bought $713,000 in capital. We didn't have to get a loan to go buy a truck. And that's really important because I want everybody to understand that we do take your finances very serious. So we'll come on down the trail a little bit here. Everybody's been getting 3% unless there had to be big adjustments. Well, 23-24 payroll went up $832,000. That's a huge adjustment, and that's really hard. And it was because public safety, to keep in line, even to try to keep in line with the other cities, the police and fire got some pretty hefty raises, and that was $154 an hour on the city. You take all of theirs cumulative. The rest of the employees got $45. That means Public Works, my team, that, so the city had $200 an hour in raises given in 23-24. And that's necessary for us to be competitive, because you have got to have employees. And so with the other cities, we have to try to remain competitive. 24-25, that's this year. So this year, the city is adding 12 positions. I didn't put you all one of these out, but I do think it's interesting, so I do want to tell you that in 2019, the city had 179 employees. The budget this year, the city will be at 199 employees. I've kind of called out what got added. There's been like 4 police officers, the different things that got added. Some of it's from annexation, and some of it was just needed. There have been positions, so now I think you are fully loaded. I won't speak as whether or not Public Works is fully loaded, because they have a lot going on. But I think most of the departments now are where we need to be. It's kind of surprising to me, the number of employees from 17 to 23 who left employment is 214. I thought that was kind of high, but what that tells us is that we still are forced to stay competitive. So the last piece I want to add to this, because I think it's interesting also, is capital expenditures. I did not get to go back and look at capital from 2009 to 17 because I've been working from home. That system doesn't work well with me pulling in, but I did run them from 18 through 24. And so I want to kind of go over that with you a little bit. City got one more big loan. We did borrow 1.9 in 21 that we will pay off this year. And we still weren't where we needed to be, so that 1.9 addressed 32 different things. But that's a pretty big loan, but it went to 32 different items. Some of it's equipment, some of it was a land purchase, it was just different things. So the capital expenditures for these years is 3.7 million. Drainage reads in capital, but it's always been funded by operating or grants. So I've subtracted drainage and I've subtracted the asphalt, concrete panels, and sidewalks. The concrete panels that have been replaced over the city was able to be funded out of modernization. That was a good thing because we really had no way to handle the concrete panels, but I think that we're pretty close, got the whole city back in, is that correct? So that's been well. The modernization is what we call the Amazon tax. It's the money the city is now receiving on online purchases. And we can use it for water, sewer, the bridge lights, maybe some equipment. I've got to reread it. You couldn't, but I think you can now. So there in this 6 years, we spent on vehicles, equipment, improvements like roofs, air conditioners. It was $2,347,673. Now what's important is that was what we put out, but we used 1.574 of loans. But now we have made that curve, and like I said, this year we spent 700-something thousand in operating cash, and that's a good place for us to be. That means that when we get loans for bigger ticket items. We don't get loans for what should come out of operating. So your city is where it needs to be now. I don't foresee needing to raise millage, especially if sales tax keeps holding and we keep growing the city some. I won't say it won't never happen, because I can tell you today, I'm working in payroll now, and public safety specifically is getting raised all over the coast, and we have no choice but to get in line for us to have public safety. And so that's just part of how we run. So that's something I've been wanting to tell, and I wanted to tell it on the camera so everybody can replay it over and over, because it was so exciting. And so, does anybody have any questions?
Anybody from the board have any questions? Does anybody from the audience want to speak for or against the budget?
Okay.
Can we ask questions?
Sure. Can you come to, unless you just got one, you want to come here?
No, it was a quick one.
Okay.
It was, where are the fees for short-term rentals? Is that lumped into other in the planning?
It's
Hotel.
Or hotels? I didn't know that was.
it's actually, and you go on the income line, you can go down to the other planning fees. Yes, ma'am.
It's under the other.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And you're currently staffed for police?
Ma'am,
The police department is currently staffed with enough officers?
we have enough officers, we'd like to have a few more, but we have
There are
enough
still a
officers.
couple of openings.
Yes, ma'am. We do have to, we just have to constantly look at that. Gulfport just raised their beginning officers to $25 an hour, just to give you all an idea. Our officers are at $19.50, 1 year in, $21.50, 2 years in, $22.50. We could be forced, to raise them again. And that's just running the city, and it's, yes, sir?
Does this incorporate the new
Yes, sir.
annexation?
Yes, sir.
For Fort County?
Yes, sir. It doesn't incorporate the water and sewer yet, because we haven't got going. We have 5 years to do that, but we do have a plan. And there's different ways we're gonna come up to fund the water and sewer lines and the lighting. The city will be hosting a meeting in the Civic Center on September the
18th at 5:30.
We hope to have a lot of information there. We want everyone to come. We'll have all of our departments there. JCUA will be there, Waste Pro will be there. All the players will be there, and we will try to answer questions as best we can. Okay? Yes,
So on Waste Pro,
Yes, ma'am.
see, they had significant increases.
yes, ma'am.
And I heard that other cities didn't get a significant increase as much as Springs did.
Goshen just did. I just talked to the mayor today, and they're pretty much almost within cents of us now.
Well, my understanding too is that the
Correct.
contract's not up yet.
We were at $20 for a long time, and that was too low. So I can assure you, Scotty can tell you, we worked and worked and worked and tried to get it down. And so Waste Pro and Waste Management, both via the city is, we're moving east somewhat in our buildings, and we actually run our own boom trucks, as everyone knows. And our boom trucks, it was gonna be hard to get our boom trucks over to where Waste Management is on Cedar Lake, especially with us going east with the annexation. And so we remained with Waste Pro, but Waste Management wasn't cheaper. Money-wise, we were kind of neutral, so the deciding factor really became to where can we get our trucks in and out and get them back.
And Patty, I think it should be noted that not everybody renews their garbage contracts at the same time. So
So the other cities' contracts aren't up yet.
Okay.
So some of them haven't
When they go to renew,
renegotiated their
prices
contracts
come
yet.
down.
And, a larger city might get, like Gulfport, I don't remember what they came back with, they did negotiate this year, but they have quite a few more citizens. And in Ocean Springs, we've got a lot of beautiful roads and all, and so the board preferred that we have a company that they get out and get the garbage and try to help instead of the truck, because the truck wouldn't manage with some of our trees.
Okay.
So a lot of thought is put into that. That's worked on quite a while, and I assure you.
Yeah, we tried. Like,
tried
we
really hard.
we
Because we
buried
knew
that,
it
we
was
buried
coming.
that one for weeks.
Anyone else have any questions?
Not so much a question, Patty, but I think you mentioned it, but it just kind of flew by.
Yeah.
In 2013, our reserve fund was at $975,000. once we finish moving funds into it here soon, we will be just over 3 million,
Right,
which is approximately 3 months of operating
which is where we
funds,
should be.
which is where we should be.
Yes.
It took a little while to get there, but
Right.
we're in a good
Our
spot.
cash ending is good, our other accounts look good. Like I said, things are well with the city. We do run
It
tight.
is, yeah.
We, a couple of things that we did that people don't always know is we put the gas tanks in, so we get our gas cheaper, and also we have gas available in the storm. What's some of the other cost-saving things that we've done, does anybody, so, I'm just running on energy, so I will tell you.
All right, if there's, I'm gonna give you a break here, Patty.
Did a good job.
And congratulations, very nice job. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved, Mayor.
Motion by Mr. Cox, second by Mr. Blackman, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. This budget will be on the September 3rd agenda for adoption. Is there a resolution fixing the tax levy for fiscal year 24-25? Adoption.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the tax levy for FY 24-25 for the city at 28.92 mils and the school at 64.86 mils.
Okay. We got a motion by Mr. Impey, second by Mr. Blackman. I need a roll call on this.
Aye.
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 Okay, motion carries. Is there a motion to authorize the mayor to execute an MOU with Jackson County for housing municipal prisoners?
Yes, sir. I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Cox, second by Ms. Burgess. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Again, Patty, very nice job. I appreciate all your hard work. We've, every year you just bury yourself in this thing for about a month. And, anyway, thank you for that. So if there's nothing else, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Impey, second by Ms. Burgess. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank y'all.